Good evening, Saints fans, and welcome to another edition here of Monday Night Running with the Saints. And here we are here with the head football coach of your varsity Saints, Mike Biehl. Mike, how you doing this evening?
Doing great, Rags. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Let's start off here. I know that we've talked about what a good job that Suffolk News Herald does for reporting both public school and private school sports there in the city of Suffolk. And I know here a couple weeks ago, NSA here had another athlete of the week here with Howard Casterlow getting recognized here with a win against Catholic.
Yeah, he did it. He did a great job. He was, it was similar to a coming out party that Greer Barkley had earlier in the season against Isle of Wight. Howard, I feel like everything he did was in real big, exciting fashion. He started the scoring off in that game with what I called the best pass Van Baggett has thrown all season on an 80-yard touchdown to Howard, where there was good defense being played, but it was a perfect ball over the shoulder, and Howard looked it all the way in, broke the tackle, ended up being an 80-yard touchdown for the first score, and then to end the first half, unfortunately, Catholic's quarterback left the game with an injury, so the backup came in, and there's about a minute left in the half. We're up 21, and they got to third down with about 40 seconds left, and I'm thinking they'll probably just run this out and we'll start the second half. But quarterback rolled out. Howard had really good coverage on the receiver and kind of baited the quarterback into throwing a flat route. He stepped right in front of it and took it the distance for a pick six. And then really early in the third quarter, kind of the same thing, got him to third and long, and he stepped in front of another pass and went to the house for another pick six. So he had an unbelievable night, but not surprising. He's an unbelievable player for us that can do a little bit of everything, and it was on display against Catholic for sure.
Yes, and let's see with his stats, 3 touchdowns, one on offense, two on defense. I mean, the guy was a one man wrecking crew, I guess you could say here for the football team there in front of the home folks.
No, he really was. He had a great game, and he's had, he's made big plays every single week. He had an interception that he brought all the way down to about the 15-yard line against Atlantic Shores. That was a game-changing play to kind of stop a drive and flip the field for us. But really just thinking about, the last month or so, every game he's been in, he's made a couple plays that make you kind of take a step back and say, wow, he's pretty good. But like I said, not surprising at all. That's how he practices. He takes it really seriously. He watches a ton of film. When we're going over usually our walkthrough day, the day before the game, I'll kind of quiz our guys defensively, like, hey, they're in this formation. It's this down and distance. What are we thinking? He will always be the first one to answer, and he's always right. So he takes it really seriously, and it transitions right to the game field. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and just once October came, you guys, with fall break and other other holidays there for October, you guys had back to back Thursday night games, and one at home, one on the road, and then now into the bye week here before you guys close out the 24 season with Fredericksburg Christian and Stab St. Anne's Belfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you said, we went from Catholic on one Thursday to Norfolk Academy the following Thursday at home, and now into the bye week, just like you said, to kind of finish this thing out. However, we're going to finish it out, which is kind of what we said to our guys last Friday when we brought them in after the game. It's like, we've got two opportunities, and however we choose to handle it is going to determine whether we get to keep playing or not. And that's, that's the honest truth. I thought, there was so many positive things to our game against Norfolk Academy, and the score definitely doesn't indicate that, but I thought that was the best game our defense has played. Really made them earn everything they got. Didn't have really any explosive plays at all, in the entire game. You had a run here or there, but they're usually so disciplined in their run game, and that sets up their play action to go up top. And they tried, and we were doing what we needed to do. And sometimes it happens like that. One side of the ball is playing extremely well at a very high level, and the other, side of the ball just needs to kind of do whatever they can do to make a few plays. And we just didn't make them as consistently as we would have liked to. But we put the film on, and you walk away from a game like that against a rival at home. You're going to be disappointed with the outcome, but then which we've said a couple times before, when you take a step back and look at it, constructively, you're like, we actually did a lot of really good things, and we're playing extremely hard, disciplined, physical. So those are things that we got to build on and really be honest about the stuff we need to get a lot better about offensively, and use the bye week to get better at them.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I mean, with looking at coming, you guys bye week, 2 games left after the bye week, but I mean, private school football. I mean, it's definitely tough competition because there's no slouches there in y'all schedule. And especially with how you guys are closing out the regular season, and I saw that Fredericksburg Christian is off to a good start.
Yeah, they're always a really just a solid team. Another really disciplined, really athletic, tough football team. They've always been that way since I've been at NSA. They've been through a couple. I want to say this is the third head coach that's been there since I've been here, second or third. They
Okay.
used to be a double wing, like old school, wing T style offense that you just kind of dreaded facing because they were really good at it. They had a lot of athletes to run it, which, I'm sure some of the older football fans remember the 90s and Western Branch and things like that, but
Yeah.
it's very similar offense to that. And they moved towards the spread over the last 4 or 5 years. But the things that I've seen of them, they're bringing some of the single wing stuff back for whatever reason. I haven't been able to break them down because we don't have that film yet. But
Right.
the clips that I've seen on YouTube and Max Preps and things like that, it's alive and well back in their offense, and they're using it to their full advantage. But just like you said, in the top half of our division in private school football, it could be anybody's game any given night, and it just depends on who's playing well going into the game, who's healthy, and really how many game experience players you have going into that game, because that's the other thing a lot of people don't think of when you have a lot of freshmen or sophomores in roles. Like, how much have they developed in the last 6 or 7 weeks, and that could be the difference between them making a play and not. So completely agree. The back half of our schedule and Fredericksburg Christian's schedule is all playoff teams or playoff caliber teams. So I think that's the way you want to schedule it. Give yourself the best chance to do the best competition. So when you get to the playoffs, you're ready. But we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then Stab. I mean, if you've definitely been a follower here of Virginia private school football, you definitely remember the Long family, and what when I had you on when the season started, didn't you say that there's a tight end there that played on Sundays and had a great career at UVA. That's now their head coach.
I sure did. I think I specifically said that I got the word. That was like May.
Uh-huh.
It was close to the end of the school year when I got word that Stab's head coach had stepped down, and I had a feeling that that might happen. He's a Pennsylvania guy, and he got an opportunity to go back to Pennsylvania, where his family's from. And I was like, you never want to see that, because I think stability with
Right.
all the programs is good for everyone. But at the same time, and they had some really talented kids on that team, and that was a game that we played the last game of the season at our place, and there was over 100 points scored. It was a track meet, and that was only that guy's second year, so it was only going to get better from there. So I was like, well, at least somebody new will come in, they have to relearn an offense and defense, and then literally 5 minutes later, hey, potential Steelers Hall of Famer Heath Miller is the head football coach. I'm like, good for them. But what I know is Coach Miller,
Yeah.
former Steeler Heath Miller, has
Right.
four boys. One's a freshman, and one follows the other. So they're going to be they're going to be pretty good in no time. And I think the Miller name is going to have a lot to do with it for sure.
Right. Yeah, well, it's it's crazy here on how fast, the football season goes. I mean here you guys are middle of October, bye week now. Now with not playing till next Friday, is it still practice as usual, or is it kind of, you know, break it up here this week before you start focusing on Fredericksburg Christian for next week?
Yeah, it's a great question because it's odd to have two bye weeks. Like I think we mentioned it a couple shows ago. We've had it before where we've, for whatever reason, just a kind of a snafu in the schedule, had two, and it just kind of depends on where you're at in the season and health wise where you're at. For us, I thought it was really important to bring the guys in the day after our game on Thursday to watch that film, which made it incredibly long night for me to get the film ready for them to be able to watch it. But I thought for us to be able to take what we needed to take from it, we had to bring them in. Let's show it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and say, these are the things that happened. These are the things we did good or did well, and this is the stuff we really have to improve before we hit the field again. But because we did that, I gave them Monday off. Today was a day off from school for them.
Oh, okay.
I thought it made a lot more sense to bring them in Friday, give them off Monday, and then this week we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
And actually, Fredericksburg is playing at Atlantic Shores.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be good to see them on Friday and then back to the normal schedule Monday. So, you try to get as much information on the team that you're going to play, in the bye week, but it's tough because you're not exchanging film with that team.
Right.
So you just kind of go back in your notes because it is the same coaching staff, it's the same offensive and defensive coordinator, and kind of sprinkle some of that stuff in to the general offensive and defensive principles you're trying to get better at this week. So that's what we'll do, constantly working on us, but in the back of our mind, like, hey, just remember this is what we're going to see next week.
Right. Yeah, and it's just I know you got two games two games left, but boy, you wanna talk about time time going by fast. I mean, you got the off season, then you got training camp, and
Yep.
you post there on Facebook, with camp, starting there early morning,
Uh-huh.
and then here you are down to the final two games, and I see that the last game there is that first Friday there in November. I mean, just
It's crazy.
time flies.
It really does, and it's a cliche, and you try to tell your guys as much as possible, man. You got to make the most of each opportunity, and unfortunately, this season we only had 9
Yeah.
versus the normal 10 that we've had every other year that I've been here, minus the COVID years. But it put that much more emphasis on making the most of each opportunity. But then it goes, just like you said, it goes back to the off season. It goes back to the preseason. It's like, and you better be making the most of this time because it's going to come back to us, and you're going to be able to cash in on that investment if you did. And if you didn't, you're going to walk away wondering what would have happened had you made that investment. So, we're kind of staring that in the face a little bit. We kind of talked a little bit about it on Friday because I hate looking ahead. It's hard to win 1 week at a time. It's hard to have
Right.
a one good practice. It's hard to have one good period in practice. Like you got to really focus on those things that are right in front of you, but at the same time, you have to make it a realistic understanding to the guys in the room. Like, hey, man, there's guys in here that we will not play football with again. So you better take it seriously, whether you're a freshman or a senior, because I think that matters. I think that's what makes our sport a little bit different than others. Like, you know, for lack of a better way of putting it, we're going to battle with each other, and there's guys that we're not going to be going to battle with once this thing is all said and done. So let's lock in for the remaining time that we have to make the most of it. And our guys do a really good job of, I think, respecting the other players on our team that are in that situation because it's tough. There's guys that want to play college football that don't necessarily know exactly where that's going to be. And then there's a couple guys that are seniors this year, they're 100% not going to put a helmet and shoulder pads on.
Right.
So, you don't want to be too melodramatic. You don't want to put more emphasis on one single game than it has to be. But there's a finality to this thing that I think everybody needs to respect. So that's something we've talked about for sure.
Well, and the other thing is, and something that we talked about here in past shows. I mean, for all the listeners out there, usually just about whether it's public school or private school, a high school football team plays 10 games, but
Mhm.
you had a non-conference school not field a team, so that was a bye, and then the TCIS. I mean, Greenbrier Christian has moved on to the Metro, and then 8 man and
Mhm.
HRA, and Norfolk Christian. So with some of the TCIS teams either moving moving conferences or not fielding uh football team. I mean that and when you have to go outside of conference and outside of the area, it's kind of hard to put a full 10 games out there to start in the middle of August and finish right around Halloween, first weekend in November.
Yeah, it's. I think we talked about it a little bit. I didn't know how good I had it as a player playing in Virginia Beach with 10 other schools in the district. Like there was no scheduling. You just played your schedule. You flipped home and away.
No,
Every
no conference games,
no,
non-conference games over there.
yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that because before Lansdowne joined the Beach District, every beach team did have one out of
Right,
district game, but it was like a historically scheduled game. Like we always played Lake Taylor. That was our out of
right,
district game.
right,
I don't know when it started. I don't know how it started, but the first 3 years I was in high school, that's who we opened with every single year, and every school in the beach was like that. And then once Lansdowne joined, nobody
right.
had an out of district game, and you grow up like that and think that everywhere it's kind of like that, and it's not. And specifically, private school football is not, and that's why it's such a big emphasis to make sure we're doing everything we can to build each other up versus tear us down. Because if winning is the only thing, you're going to find yourself having a really hard time scheduling, or if not doing right by the competitors that you're competing with year in and year out, they're just not going to schedule you. So yeah, I completely agree. It's really difficult. For us, we've been so lucky. Like I mentioned, every year I've been here, minus COVID, we've had 10 games. But then when two teams seemingly aren't in the position to field a team. One of them being in the summer, like that's a really hard date to fill. One, we knew about Portsmouth Christian pretty early when we were still in school last year, so that wasn't as big a deal. But then to lose another one,
Mhm.
you're kind of you don't have as many options. You're like searching, and then if the one or two teams that have open dates that meet yours just don't want to play,
Right.
there's not much you can do about it.
Right. Yeah, because it's pretty much, you got the conference games, and then to do the non-conference games, then you have to, you know, work work dates out, and especially the ones that are out of town, out of the
Right.
area, then you have to have like dates, and agreed upon, and
Mhm.
just a lot of logistics when you have to look outside the 757, or maybe
Yeah.
even the 804.
Yeah. I mean, Hargrave is a great example. Like, we were extremely lucky to get Hargrave on the schedule when we did. That was a summertime ad for us because that
Okay.
we were really at 8 games for a little while there.
Mhm.
Um, and luckily, like, it just schedule wise, it worked out. However, next year that's not necessarily going to be the case. Like, they're hopefully adding some in conference games to their schedule, which that takes precedent over everything else. So I don't know. That might be another date we're going to have to fill if that doesn't match up. And that's just, unfortunately, year in and year out, that is the way of the private school world now. And that's, hopefully, looking at it from an optimistic, viewpoint, hopefully HRA comes back. Greenbuyer's on their way back. Christchurch, I've heard, is coming. So, like, I hope, those things are happening and make scheduling much easier than it is right now. But yeah, you kind of, we're, we're putting our schedule together earlier this year than we ever have before. So we're not in a position where we only have 9 games again.
Well, what about I know the another private school there in Charlottesville area, not too far from Stab and the Miller School. I mean, Covenant,
Yeah,
used to be pretty pretty competitive football team here in the state. And have they dropped down to 8 man, or do they
they
not field a team anymore?
I want to say, went to 8 man and then dropped football completely. But the word is that they're coming back. That's another
Oh,
school that's supposed to join that Richmond conference with Fredericksburg, with Blue Ridge, with North Cross, and that would be huge. VES is another one.
oh, Virginia Episcopal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another one that dropped. And I want to say they dropped football altogether, but the word is that they're coming back. So, like, there's some really positive feedback that some of these schools that were in 11 man some 5 years ago that are trying to make the comeback, which is really unusual. I mean, that's when teams were first talking about going to 8 man football when I first got this job, the overwhelming statistic was that they don't ever make it back. If you
Right.
go 8 or you drop football together, like, it's a terrible, terrible statistic of ever bringing football back within a 10-year span. So it's great that there's enough of a want to, hopefully enough students to fill the rosters that want to do it, to bring these schools back into the fold, because it makes it better for everybody.
Yeah. Well, hey, Mike, I certainly appreciate you coming on here and talking about your program and previewing each game. I know with my work schedule here the next 2 weeks, there's a little bit of a conflict, but definitely appreciate this time where we've come on, and even when we've taken a break on the two Monday nights, one time when the Eagles played on Monday Night
Yeah.
Football, the other time the Seahawks played, we probably should still kept it, because both of those
Didn't
Monday
turn out
night
well.
games, our teams lost.
Didn't turn out well at all. Would have rather just talked to you actually
Right.
the game that I watched.
While the game was muted, you know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But no, I know with being a Bruin alum and doing something with Western Branch football, I was looking to use this platform to for a private school. And I know that my wife and I we know some friends that their kids are over at NSA, and I know that you and I have got to know each other the past couple of years. So appreciate this opportunity here with shining a light here on Saints football. And I see with knowing Robert and Jennifer and pictures of Oliver playing. I know that the JJV, the younger group there of Saints football, got a good group there.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that because we had a day off today, and I don't get a lot of. I just don't have a lot of opportunities to go work with those kids. Just
Right.
we practice at the same time. They're playing when we're practicing, or vice versa. So I got to go out there and work with that group
Oh,
today, and it was they do have a great group. Great. I've said it multiple times. The coaching staff they have is doing an unbelievable job. They get it. They're developing these guys. They're teaching them the game. But the kids are so respectful. Like it was almost humbling being out there, how just well behaved and respectful the kids were, and just how much they wanted to learn. I mean, it was like invigorating to be out there with that young group. Just wanting to put their best foot forward, but the future is really bright. And I got to piggyback off what you said, man. I feel like the pleasure is all mine, and I'm the lucky one that you asked me to be on this show because,
thanks.
like you said, man, we have a really good product, not just at NSA, but Virginia private schools in general. So to be able to come on every week on this platform and share some of what we're doing, what we're about, I think it helps all the private school programs in the area and in the state. And I really couldn't thank you enough. So I really appreciate
Okay.
the opportunity.
Hey, appreciate that, and your team here. Enjoy the bye week, and I know that probably tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday, probably a little bit more here to correct here with making the team better, and then come next week start focusing there on Fredericksburg Christian. So
Yes, sir.
have a good rest of the week, and go Saints.
Thanks a lot, Rags. Have a good one.
All right, see you.